one of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
You're in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
It's very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
I feel like when this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this is one of those days for me, so I really shouldn't. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So, I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Craig Mish back with you here in the house as we get ready to close out the week. And, of course, the British Open underway right now. We'll have updates for you throughout the show, of course, as we really close in on what is going to be a very exciting time. NFL training camps, of course, are coming up. Major League Baseball's second half begins on Friday, needless to say. College football right around the corner, too, so it's great to be back with you. Spent some time in Arlington, Texas for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Very enjoyable event, always fun to see, and hopefully you caught some of that action as well on Home Run Derby on Monday, and of course the All-Star Game on Tuesday, travel back Wednesday, so here we are. So I'm all caught up. How about you? Let me catch you up on everything that's been happening last night, today. We'll also preview forward. We'll start off with the WNBA, and we'll start off with a record-breaking day from Caitlin Clark, who recorded 19 assists last night and 24 points in a 101-93 loss against the Dallas Wings. Why is this meaningful? Well, she broke Courtney Vandersloot's record of 18 assists from 2020 in a game against the Fever. Incredible single-season record now broken by the rookie in Caitlin Clark, who we will hear from coming up in the sound-off segment in about 10 minutes from now. Needless to say, a very successful rookie season. Initially didn't look like that so much, but she has been fantastic for the Fever, although they did lose again yesterday. Meanwhile, a new sports betting operator opens up in the D.C. area. It is BetMGM. They are online right now, joining Caesars and FanDuel as the first three legal sports books in Washington, D.C. BetMGM will also keep their exclusive rights to 2 blocks outside of Nationals Park, since they have a partnership with the Washington Nationals. The app is available on both iOS and Android, also available in the D.C. area. So sports betting now going live in D.C. Also yesterday, we learned a very big financial deal with the WNBA as well, and the Players Union is even questioning this, saying that it could be potentially worth more. The Women's Basketball Association receiving $2.2 billion over the next 11 years in rights fees and its new media deals. That's about $200 million a year. The Players Union basically saying maybe this could be worth more. We'll see. It'll expire in 2025. And so naturally, in the future, if the WNBA continues their success, maybe this is worth even more than that. Meanwhile, Jonte Porter's issues continue. Porter is now looking to play basketball in Greece because he no longer can play in the NBA. He has been banned and also going through some legal troubles as well. He was denied by a judge to play for Prometheus BC in the Greek Basketball League and the Champions League in Europe to try and make some cash. Scheduled to be sentenced in New York on December the 18th. We'll see if any jail time is issued to Porter in the future. Meanwhile, right now, the British Open is underway. We'll have constant updates for you in terms of a leaderboard. But naturally, right now, with the Open Championship going on, everyone paying a close eye on it, and it will be something that we watch here on the show as well. Make sure you tune in to Scott Farrell, who will have more on this coming up later this afternoon. Justin Thomas currently 3 under par as he's finished the day as of right now in the leaderboard. Looks like a really, really tough course that they're playing. All right, as we mentioned, the Indiana Fever last night, the final 101-93. Fever dropped to 11-15 on the season. Caitlin Clark, as we said, 24 points, 19 assists, 3 rebounds. Now, the other WNBA game, pretty interesting, as the Lynx, Minnesota, they moved to 17-8. They defeat the Atlanta Dream 86-79. They outscored the Dream 30-19 in the final 10 minutes for the highest scoring fourth quarter of the season. Kayla McBride, 30 points, 4 threes. The Dream have lost 8 games in a row. Also, in basketball yesterday, getting ready for the Olympics, Team Serbia, no match for Team USA. They moved to 3-0 in friendly competition, routing them yesterday. Incredible performance by all accounts going on for Team USA as they dominate their opponent. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Bucks are looking for some clarity on Chris Middleton. He's recovering from arthroscopic surgery now on both ankles this offseason, according to multiple reports on Wednesday. 3-time All-Star. He's expected to be ready for the 2024-25 season. He missed 55 games last season, having all kinds of ankle issues. Well, when the Orlando Magic were given an NBA franchise, a lot of folks thought it had a lot to do with this gentleman. His name is Pat Williams. He was vital in getting them their first franchise back in 1989. He served as Orlando's general manager until 1996, when he became the senior vice president of the Magic. And Pat Williams yesterday passed away at the age of 84 due to viral pneumonia, one of the more popular popular executives in NBA history. Ratings for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game rose this year after an all-time low last year, as they received a 6% increase, and 116,000 people were watching the Spanish language broadcast on Fox Sports. That was up 36% from 85,000 last year. Home Run Derby, 5.5 million viewers, down 11% from last year, and had 6.6 million viewers. Meanwhile, in college hoops, men's basketball coach Jeff Capel and Pittsburgh have agreed to a 3-year contract extension, the school announced Wednesday. The deal keeps Capel with the Panthers through the 29-30 season, 97-92, 6 seasons at Pittsburgh. Also, UFC heavyweight champion John Jones pleaded not guilty Wednesday to a pair of misdemeanor charges stemming from a drug use test at his New Mexico home, where he was accused of being hostile. The other big story going on right now is the Southeastern Conference meetings. All of the head coaches talking about everything, including the new video game that has just recently posted back online for the first time in a decade. We'll get to that in just a bit, as Bill Bender will join us on the show. But first, it is a very big moment when you're taking over for the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. And that is exactly what Kalen DeBoer is being asked to do, as Nick Saban has decided to, at least it looks like, potentially retire. By the way, Saban spotted at the All-Star game in Texas just a couple of days ago. At the Southeastern Conference media meetings, Kalen DeBoer talked about taking on Alabama's head coaching football job and keeping the tradition rolling with the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I actually took notes, and I still am taking notes, right? These guys have been here longer than I have, and sometimes, we use the saying, you don't know what you don't know, and just trying to take it all in. We want to do things, of course, I want to do things the way I've done them in some aspects, but embracing what is important to this program, the traditions that have happened over many years. But I think just when it really comes down to this team, it's about the work that we're doing right now, and listening to them and hearing them out. I think that's the best thing you can do when you come in as a new coach, is kind of meet them in the middle, and we've worked together, and they understand that I want this team to be a team that ultimately is player led. Yeah,
see
I
that
actually
title
took
once again.
notes, and I
All right. And once again, the Crimson Tide, not the favorite right now to win the Southeastern Conference. And the favorite is the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart is going to now have to deal with several other teams in the SEC, including Texas. He talked about the realignment.
Yeah, initially I was wondering how I got that draw, but we're not one to complain. We're one to be excited. I think when you step into the shoes of a University of Georgia football player, you accept that challenge is going to be there. I mean, we kind of embrace that and we love it. I mean, and what you didn't get to mention is that we open with Clemson too, who's one of the top teams in the top programs in the country. So, we're really excited about that. I think that motivates our off season so that we have the right kind of approach to the offseason, and our guys embrace that. I mean, as coaches, you want to play the best, and people forget that when you spent time in the NFL, every week was like that. So when Texas and Oklahoma came into the conference, every schedule was going to get harder. It wasn't going to get easier; it was going to get harder, and we embrace that. We look forward to it, and excited for the challenge to go to some really tough places.
It will be for the SEC. Who will win it? Bill Bender will give us a preview coming up next from Sporting News.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed. Right, been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
It's very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be a perfect week.
I feel like when this wind at this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this is one of those days for me, so I relish it. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Time to check in with our weekly chat. It is Bill Bender, Sporting News. The Southeastern Conference has a brand new look to it, and one of the best conferences, if not the very best in the country. Several teams going to make the college football playoff. What will it look like? Let's ask Bill. He joins us now, again, courtesy of Sporting News. And Bill, right now, of course, the SEC meetings wrapping up, and a lot of fun to see all the coaches talking about the realignment. We just played some of the comments before. I would tell you, this new world of college football, Bill, I know they still say that 12 teams are going to make it. It's going to give an opportunity to some new teams as well. But I think college football would like nothing more than to see a lot of these teams from the SEC getting into the college football playoff.
big brands, 4 big brands from the SEC. The more, the better. I totally agree. I think that conversation starts with Georgia. You heard Kirby Smart on the podium. I think he's kind of overtaken, with Nick Saban gone, being maybe the most powerful voice in the sport. And you look at this Georgia program, 42-2 the last 3 years. I didn't realize, and maybe I should have, 24-0 in SEC regular season games the last 3 years. It's an impressive run. They start at the top here, and I think they're that first brand that we're talking about that maybe Greg Sankey won't say it out loud, but they definitely want them in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt, and you see Georgia being the favorite there, followed by Texas, Alabama. Ole Miss still very interesting, a team coming off a really good year last year, perhaps a step back for some of the other teams, LSU, A&M, Tennessee, and Missouri. But I think that, Bill, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what the new landscape in the conference is going to look like, and the most important part of it is adding Texas to the mix. As we just mentioned, they're plus 350 to win, and also plus 850 to win the national championship. Oklahoma, on the other hand, coming off a rocky season, not necessarily one of the favorites to win either the SEC or the national championship game. But, Bill, I don't know that the SEC really cares. Getting Oklahoma into the conference means more eyeballs. It means more discussion like this. And eventually the Sooners are going to get back to where they were. I mean, maybe I'm being a little bit too tough on a team that's ranked inside the top 20, but I just don't see a lot of projections for them to win it.
Well, they won 10 games last year. So when have we kind of discounted an Oklahoma team that won 10 games, has a 5-star quarterback in Jackson Arnold coming back, got some more transfers for Brent Venables' defense, which did improve last year. And here's a nasty reminder for Texas fans. Oklahoma's won that game 5 of the last 6 years. I know Texas went to the playoff last year, but Oklahoma won that game. Now, the Sooners do have a very tough schedule, probably the second toughest schedule in the SEC behind Florida, so there is a lot of work to do. I think the Tennessee game with Oklahoma will get a lot of publicity, not just because it's Tennessee, but Josh Heupel, who led Oklahoma to the national championship in 2000, is the coach on the other sideline. So, yeah, I think there is some value in the Sooners, but that schedule combined with a few other factors, maybe a few years of recruiting in the SEC before they're a championship caliber team in the conference.
Yeah, and I understand that. And, part of it is, again, the star power is there, maybe not so much for Oklahoma than some other teams, but you're right, winning the bowl and winning 10 games. I mean, it's a heck of an accomplishment from last year. As far as a Heisman Trophy award, we've had several candidates from the SEC, and it starts with Dylan Gabriel. Of course, he is not in the conference, but he is the favorite to win right now at Oregon at plus 700, so he's 7-1. And then we go to 2 players in the SEC, Bill, and that is Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. Ewers is definitely going to get the chance to start and play with Texas the entire season. I guess my concern, Bill, would be is that if things didn't go the way that the Longhorns want, they could eventually turn to Arch Manning. So I don't know that I would take him at 10-1. Will Howard is back at TCU 14-1. And then, look, a lot of open doors here, I think, for someone to win it. The last couple of years, Bill, we thought we had the Heisman Trophy Award winner early on, but we saw a lot of pivoting over the course of the year. I mean, Caleb Williams, I guess, was the outlier. He was kind of the guy from start to finish, but this is an award that isn't won in September anymore.
Yeah, nobody had Jaden Daniels. Nobody had Jaden Daniels after week 1 last year. They lost to Florida State in the opener. So anything can happen within the course of a season with the ebbs and flows of it. I like Jalen Milroe. Of those quarterbacks you presented, I just think of this with Kalen DeBoer, Michael Penix the last 2 seasons, 67 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, and he had a passer rating of around 150. Jalen Milroe is over a 170 last year in passer rating. I think he's very efficient, throws the deep ball well, can run, and he's in what's going to be a kind of an off-the-radar offense coming into the season. I could see Jalen Milroe having a huge year, and if Alabama makes the playoff, he was in the Heisman talk last year. Remember the big play against Auburn to save the season? He'll be in the mix.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so real quick, SEC coaches, we got 2 minutes left. We got a lot of content. It's going to be great with Bill all college football season. The SEC, I think we could do 3 shows on. What do you think is the biggest story of these 3? I'll tell you what mine is. Kalen DeBoer taking over for Nick Saban, Jeff Lebby taking over for Arnett. To me, though, it is the third story here. Mike Elko taking over Texas A&M. Bill, I am stunned that Jimbo Fisher couldn't get it done the way that he wanted to with the Aggies. I thought he was going to, but he did not.
There's a lot of talent there too, and in some of it's addition by subtraction through the portal. Connor Wigman's back. If he stays healthy, there's another quarterback to watch. He's been very impressive in the limited stint he's had, but he's battled injuries. And Mike Elko, very good underdog at Duke. You know, I think they were very good against the spread. I believe 8-5 against the spread as an underdog with Mike Elko. They were 5-7, something like that, close to a 500 record straight up. He's going to bring a new kind of attitude to College Station. I love that opener against Notre Dame too. That's one of those games where whoever wins that game, we're definitely going to hype up the winner. And Texas A&M is at home there. I know how much you love Notre Dame, Craig. So I think that's one to watch where the Aggies could steal that game.
Notre Dame ranked high again for no reason whatsoever. All right. Every year. Alabama's win total's 9.5. The over is plus 116. First time I've seen Alabama lean toward an under here. Under 9.5 wins, minus 142. Bill, is that the way to go?
I'm going to go over. I still think they win 10 games. I still think they get in the college football playoff, and Kalen DeBoer does his best to hold off Saban.
All right, Bill. We'll talk again next week. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, no problem.
All right, Bill Bender with us. College football, 1 month away. We're almost there. We'll be right back.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially in a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed. Right, I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50-year-old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live. It's
very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
When it's this windy, this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this was one of those days for me, so I relished it. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So, I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Welcome back to here on SportsGrid. It's time now for the SportsGrid sound off. Let's get started here with I did not think that this was going to be a controversial topic, but it feels like everything is these days. And that is naturally because the WNBA has signed off on a new deal, a media rights deal that is billions and billions of dollars. But apparently there are some people who feel that it may not be enough. And that was a hot topic of conversation on one of our shows yesterday, Scott and Gabe talking about the new deal for the WNBA. Is it worth the amount of money? Is it too much? Is it too little? Here's what they had to say.
The WNBA deal is enormous when you consider where they were to where they're going.
That is right. So they got a $2.2 billion deal, and it works out to over $200 million a year. Yet they're also doing, similar to the NBA, there's going to be a streaming package as well. And they're getting an additional $60 million a year. So it works out to $260 million a year for the WNBA television media rights. And the current deal, Scott, is $50 million a year. That's a serious upgrade. Like this, as a stock, it just took off. And the Caitlin Clark effect, I know it upsets some, and I get it. Angel Reese is good, but the modern, call it Cameron Brink, the Caitlin effect here, times 5, Scott. The numbers speak for themselves. Yet it's going to be interesting. How long will it take? Like, you can't continue to pay these girls $138,000 a year when you're going to boast about making $2.2 billion.
Yeah, I think in the end, the deal probably works for both sides. And the reason why I say that is that when you have people saying that the deal is great and you have people saying that the deal isn't great, it means it's probably somewhere right in the middle. Now, in a few years, they may want to renegotiate this, but for the time being, I mean, billions of dollars seems like a pretty good amount to get paid, especially with the way that the women's game has skyrocketed for a lot of different reasons. It's been fantastic. All right, so some controversy also surrounding the men's team, Team USA. One of the potential reasons, at least according to our social media correspondent, Christian DeBlock, is about Joel Embiid, who is on the team, although he was not born in the United States. He's a Cameroonian, as they say. He was born in Cameroon. So should he be on Team USA? Should somebody else have represented the team? Let's check in with Christian DeBlock. He's got some ideas.
There has been a lot of discourse surrounding Team USA and their starting lineup at the Olympics. One player that needs to be a part of that group is Anthony Davis. Joel Embiid is one of the best players in the world, but so far, he has yet to show that on this stage. In 16 minutes against Serbia, he scored 8 points on 2 of 8 shooting to go along with 8 rebounds. On the other hand, Anthony Davis has played great in the team's first 3 showcase games. It's less about his points and more about his hustle plays. Against Australia, he had 14 rebounds, 7 of which were offensive, and against Serbia, he had 6 blocks. As of right now, AD has been far more impactful than Joel Embiid. Back to you, Craig.
All right, thanks very much, Christian. Team USA getting ready to play for real. That game is coming up, I believe, next week. All right, now let's get to the very latest going on right now in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark last night, a historical performance, breaking the all-time WNBA single-game assists record. The team didn't win, but Caitlin Clark was asked about breaking the record after the game.
Like, I just try to set my teammates up for success. I think at times, like, I can almost overpass, and that can maybe, I don't know, there probably could have been a few times where instead of passing that leads to turnover that I may have, I can probably shoot the ball, but especially with AB, like, I'm just looking to set her up so much. Like, my eyes are just always on our post players, whether that's Liz or whether that's AB or whoever's in the game at the time, and then kind of look out from there. But yeah, I mean, we still didn't shoot it very good from 3, and, you know, I thought we finished really well around the paint. I'm sure our points in the paint were pretty good. 62 points in the paint, so, yeah.
Does it lose a little bit of the shine with the loss and the late turnover, or is it something that you'll, like, when you look back, you'll savor it?
Yeah, the late turnover definitely kills, for sure. It's like fine line of they were up pressuring me, so then I kind of got behind them and was able to attack, and then I tried to pull it out and kind of lost my handle while getting poked from behind. So that one definitely killed. And I think I only had 1 turnover in the second half, and we'd done a pretty good job of taking care of it a little better in the second half, but that one's really costly and you can't have it. So from that point, it's really hard to win a game once it becomes 3 possessions, and at that point we had it at 2. So
you're looking at the all-time assists record in the WNBA in a single game. Caitlin Clark. We'll be back with Sam McQuillan of Legal Sports Report next.
one of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed. Right, I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50-year-old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
It's very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
I feel like when this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this was one of those days for me, so I really shouldn't. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So, I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We've got Sam McQuillan with us today from Legal Sports Report. We'll dive into this Jonte Porter story, which continues to move on. Seems like Porter's trying to find some ways out of going to jail, to be honest with you. We'll get to that. But first, let's bring in Sam. Sam, great to have you back here on the show. A lot to discuss here with Washington, D.C. and sports betting, going offline, going online, new companies joining as well. Everyone wants a piece of the pie in our nation's capital. Let's get an update on the very latest there. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Craig, great to be back. And Washington, D.C., when you talk about it as a city or a state, it's really unique that way. And it's been no different with their sports betting experience, unparalleled to pretty much any other market in the country, where they had this one app for a while that was really bad, but they allowed different apps around stadiums, got rid of the app, allowed a new app. The app went offline during the Super Bowl. It's been just quite a fiasco with DC sports betting thus far. But this week, it seems like the dust is finally settling about 4 years after they legalized it. But it didn't take, it wasn't without some drama first, of course. So what happened basically was you had FanDuel had taken over this contract for the lottery, was running the only game in town. And then all of a sudden it went offline this week because of changes in the upcoming fiscal budget for the year 2025. They made some pretty significant sports betting alterations to the entire market. But when the mayor, Muriel Bowser, was holding on to this budget essentially and had not made a decision on whether she would sign it or send it back, that caused all of a sudden all the changes to take a pause. FanDuel automatically had to go offline. It was sort of this unforeseen error, which is pretty symptomatic of the entire process in DC in general. It's always some little thing gets in the way that nobody saw. But she returned the budget yesterday, which allowed FanDuel to go back online. The Office of Lottery and Gaming worked with FanDuel, as well as some new apps that are going to be ushered into the market here because of changes in the budget. Like I said earlier, before today, you really only had one game in town, which back when you had Gambit DC used to be the only one in town. It was really a problem for a lot of bettors there. It lost the city a lot of money. As a former DC resident, I can attest to how bad the lines were. It was like minus 160 sides on both sides of NFL games. So it was a really uncompetitive product. A lot of studies came out that found it lost the city money. FanDuel now is back, and with it comes Caesars, comes BetMGM. So for the first time ever, Washington, D.C. residents are going to be able to bet on essentially more than one app. So pretty big news in D.C. there. You've kind of been waiting 4 years for anything like this to happen. FanDuel took over in April, which was some progress. And then the D.C. Council made this change, and it was finally put into place this week. So hopefully it's going to be smooth sailing ahead for D.C. sports betting, but you never know with this market, which again is just very unique. Now, DraftKings has also showed some interest in launching in DC. They have not been approved yet, even though they've been vocal on social media about coming to DC soon. We'll have to see what happens with them. Fanatics also has a path to launching in DC, which would leave pretty much 2 more open spots. I'm not sure who would fill those, quite frankly. However, though, with the current environment in sports betting, maybe Bet365, maybe ESPN Bet if it's still around. We'll have to see, Craig.
Yeah, and I think that right now it's a market to watch, fair to say. Now, a story to watch is this Jonte Porter. To me, I mean, I understand what Jonte Porter is trying to do, Sam. It's a cash grab. He's trying to go overseas to get paid, to make some money, probably for legal fees, etc. What's the very latest here with Porter?
Yeah, so Porter, the former Toronto Raptors big man and brother of Denver Nuggets star Michael Porter Jr., who was banned for life earlier this year for essentially manipulating his play during NBA games to sort of wipe out a gambling debt he had. Basically, the cardinal sin, throwing games or throwing your performance, was banned from basketball. Now he is still tied up in federal court. He's already pled guilty to some charges, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud. But what he was doing here was essentially trying to save his own skin, like you say, Craig, is asking a federal judge if he can leave the country and go play professional basketball in Greece while the rest of this legal process plays out. He's got another court date in December where he's going to have to be arraigned. They're going to have to figure out his sentence. But as part of the entire, as part of his crime, he could very well face 4 to 5 years in prison, as well as a lofty fine. So what this would involve was giving him his passport back, allowing him to not only live in Greece with his family, but travel all over Europe and then come back for court dates. So a federal judge said, I don't really think that's tenable here. Porter's argument was, I have a limited window as a basketball player, as an athlete, to make money doing this sport I love. He also cited the fact that, he left college early to go play basketball in the NBA, obviously a privilege that he squandered with this whole gambling scenario. But the judge came out and said, I don't really think that this is something that I'm going to allow. Now we'll have to see kind of where the process goes from here. But a very big cautionary tale to anyone who wants to is swayed in one way with sports betting. And this is kind of the extreme we've seen so far, with not only him being banned for life in the league he plays in, but also facing 5 years in prison and then not being able to play anywhere else during it. So, the story continues to be one of the biggest ones we've seen in this whole scandal kind of space.
Yeah, it is. And what's interesting to me, Sam, is that there is a team overseas that's willing to placate this. When you really think about it, in the end, it's kind of crazy, maybe looking for attention. I can't think of anything else. Speaking of attention, ESPN Bet thought they were going to smack ESPN's logo on a betting app, and all of a sudden people were just going to flock to it. Sam, this looks like it's going the other way. I don't know where things are headed here, but, certainly the idea that they're going to jump into FanDuel and DraftKings territory doesn't seem reasonable. I think the only reasonable question to ask is, can they just maintain where they're at?
Yeah, Craig, definitely a reasonable question. Maintain where they're at, or even exist when we hop on this show next time. It was another day, another bad headline for Penn Entertainment. Yesterday, my colleague Matt Waters broke the news that they laid off a significant amount of their workforce, and NBC just came out today saying there was actually 100 people they laid off. My colleague Matt, in his article, detailed that a lot of that had to do with the part of the company that runs ESPN Bet. Obviously, Penn Entertainment has that partnership where they're running ESPN Bet. So it couldn't have really come at a worse time for Penn, even though this is never a good time to be laying off all of your online sports betting workforce. But they have second quarter earnings coming up next week where they're going to have to field a ton of questions. There's a push from a huge growing group of activist investors to sell the company because of how bad the online sports betting business has been for them. If you recall, they paid $3 billion to use the ESPN Bet brand after selling back Barstool to founder Dave Portnoy for $1. Another brand it paid $500 million for, and it also spent $2 billion trying to build out its own technology, which obviously has not worked because a lot of people are not staying on the app. So it has just 3% of market share so far, which is a far cry from the 10 to 12% it's been aiming for. It seems like this is all coming at a really bad time, especially when the CEO, Jay Snowden, has said, no, it'll be okay. Just wait till football season. We have some more integrations coming. We have a lot kind of on the rise with how we're going to involve ESPN. But at this point, they might not even make it till football season with everyone clamoring for them to sell. And obviously them laying off a ton of the workforce that was dedicated to this very project. It's really kind of a crazy story to think 11 months ago, they paid or obligated the $3 billion for ESPN. And now this is where we are less than a year later talking about them selling, getting rid of ESPN. And, you know, ESPN's one of the biggest brands. If they can't do that with them, who could they do it with?
Yeah, it's a fair question to ask, Sam. Many questions ahead, and that's crazy that we would think that by next week something could happen here. That's insane. All right, well, Sam, we'll see what happens next week. I mean, football season's coming, so I'm sure that they're hoping they're still in action. Thanks again, Sam, for coming on the show.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Craig.
All right, Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report. Coming up next, we've got a lot of discussion to get into as Simon Applebaum joins us. The All-Star Game and Home Run Derby ratings are in. What's the latest there? And also the latest on Copa America's ratings as well. We'll be right back.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed. Right, I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live. It's
very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
This wind at this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this was one of those days for me, so I really shouldn't. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So, I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Welcome back to NewsWire. We've got Simon Applebaum here with us to go over the very latest in ratings in the All-Star Game. Kind of a crazy scene, of course, at Copa America, very heavily watched as well. And we'll dive into the very latest of the Olympics. Let's bring in Simon. Hey, Simon, great to have you back here on NewsWire. Lots of news this week with the WNBA making news with their new deal, having the All-Star Game. So normally a very quiet week in sports, usually this time of the year, but not so much this week.
Absolutely, Craig. Great to have you back, and great to be back here, too. And on that WNBA deal, which has signed off in terms of being public, what we understand is there's three big players, ESPN and ABC through Walt Disney, Amazon, and NBC and Peacock, which is similar to the NBA deal, which, by the way, still hasn't worked on yet. By the way, FYI, Warner Bros. Discovery is saying that they're going to try to match that NBA side of the deal, although they've laid off 1,000 people earlier this week, and there's talk that Warner Bros. Discovery may sell off Max, the main content service, or spin it off along with Warner Brothers Productions, and maybe other things could be in place. So we'll see about that. When it comes to WNBA, there is, at least, if this deal goes the way it's going, there will be a loser. That's Ion Television, which has been doing the Friday night WNBA doubleheaders. They made a big leap forward in terms of production quality. They added pregame shows, halftime, postgame, between-game shows. I think if WNBA is smart, they will try to include Ion TV in this deal, given what they've been doing with WNBA, giving them a regular Friday night slot, doubleheader fashion, the last 2 years. And don't forget, the WNBA has their All-Star game happening this Saturday night on ABC. Could be the biggest WNBA telecast yet.
All right, Saturday night, WNBA All-Star game. All right, so the baseball All-Star game, Major League Baseball one, Simon. I was there. Okay, so I was there at the All-Star game. I was there for Home Run Derby. And I think what's fascinating to me is I'm coming on the show today and I'm not understanding either one of these dynamics that we're going to talk about here because I can't figure it out. So the All-Star game rose in viewership from last year. It went up. I mean, is it because Paul Skeens pitched the first inning? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of. And then the Home Run Derby is down and a little bit. Simon, I thought the Home Run Derby was great. So I'm not really following why the All-Star game would be up and Home Run Derby be down. Not enough star power in the Derby? I don't know. You tell me, Simon.
It's weird in both counts because with the NBA, the Major League Baseball All-Star game, it only went up by 600,000 viewers. 7.6 million viewers watched it on Fox Deportes, on streaming services, compared to 7 million last year. 7 million last year, by the way, was the all-time low in Major League Baseball All-Star history. So it was a step up by 6% in terms of numbers. And it was also, by the way, still the most watched All-Star game of any major sport. When you take into account NBA, NHL, and, of course, the Pro Bowl in the National Football League. So it's a mixed bag. I think the fact that there was some good talent coming in, the fact that Aaron Judge, you had Juan Soto, you had Ohtani in there, I think that helped. I believe if the Republican National Convention, which has been widely watched, even though that has been down from 4 years ago on many of the networks, including Fox News Channel, if that had been, let's say, not happening that week, I think the numbers would have gone maybe even up. Now, in terms of Home Run Derby, the bad news is 5.2 million people watching on ESPN or ESPN2, the lowest in a decade. I think part of the problem is the format. I think it's too much in terms of too many players playing. I think it just gets unwieldy at times. I would like to suggest that they go back to the way Home Run Derby used to be and use remember the Professional Bowlers Tour for years on ABC where you had the King of the Hill format. You had 5 players, 5 versus 4. Then the winner of that goes to third place, second place, first place. I think that's what you should do with Home Run Derby. Make it a 5-player deal. Make it 6-inning games. Make it the old Home Run Derby TV format where anything but a home run is a strike. The games go fast. You have the King of the Hill thing. Maybe if somebody gets 5 home runs in an inning, you give them an extra financial incentive, like $5,000 or $10,000 for the charity of their choice. Make the game more interesting and make the game more acceptable to people. And I think if you do that, I think Home Run Derby will be better.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on for a long time. It's just hard to capture people's attention for 5 minutes, let alone 2 hours during a Home Run Derby. And again, I don't know if you would say it's an issue, Simon, but I mean, not knowing who's going to be in the Home Run Derby with like 2 days to go is till the Derby or 3 days is not optimal. You know, you got to try and find a way to get these guys to play, and it's $1 million. Teoscar Hernandez ended up winning that. Okay, so speaking of controversy, my gosh, Copa America on TV, Simon, on Sunday. I mean, the visuals on social media were probably more popular than the actual match that was played. I mean, it was just an insane scene at Hard Rock Stadium. So, I mean, I don't know what to draw from any of the broadcasts, from any of the visuals, the audio. I mean, the whole thing was a bleep show, to be honest with you.
It was, Craig, and it's not really as much on Fox as is on the Copa America organizers. How you could have thousands of people pour into that stadium on quick notice who didn't have tickets without the security involved. And so that, delayed the game for over 90 minutes. Then you had the crazy audio issues, video issues on Fox. It was not on Univision, by the way. And just to let you know, the ratings, the viewership was 6 million on Fox, 5.2 million on Univision. despite all the craziness, despite the delay that pushed it later into prime time and late night, it was still Fox's most watched international soccer game ever. And I think part of the reason why it was because of Lionel Messi and Argentina. Lionel Messi is the Caitlin Clark, if you will, of Major League Soccer. And, of course, Argentina is his big home team. So I think everybody was like to see, no matter what, is Messi going to score a goal? So I think that's why Fox did very well and why Univision did very well with their Spanish language coverage. And speaking of Spanish coverage, if you were watching the Fox coverage, you may have noticed a familiar face in Spanish language television. Ana Jerka, the Emmy-nominated sports host on Telemundo programming for the last decade. She has now joined Fox Sports. She made her debut, by the way, with the Copa America coverage because she was embedded with Messi and the Argentina national team. I think you're going to see Jerka do stuff for both Fox Sports and for Fox supporters. I would not be surprised if it does features in English for Fox NFL Sunday because of her work on Sunday Night Football the last couple of years. I also think you're going to see her do maybe a Fox supporters half-hour show of some kind. So keep your eye on Ana Jerka. She is a talent both in English and Spanish, and I think you're going to see more of her now that she's back on the air through Fox Sports.
All right, Simon, 30 seconds. Gold zone for the Olympics. Give me 30 seconds. What is the gold zone?
It is the way that you can watch on Peacock the Olympics live, and you can go to different events, maybe 3 to 4, the event you want to go to. It'll take you right there.
All right, there you go. Simon, we wish we had more time today. Again, a lot of content, but we will catch up again next week. We'll talk some Olympics here on the show. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome, Craig. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the week.
We'll wrap it up next.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed. Right, I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50-year-old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live. It's
very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
This wind at this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this is one of those days for me, so I really shouldn't. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So, I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Welcome back to NewsWire. All right, so I was at the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, All-Star Week this past week. It was phenomenal. Congratulations to everybody in Arlington, Dallas, Fort Worth, etc., that area. Fantastic. Great job by Major League Baseball. I thought the events were compelling. Great job by starting Skeens in that game. Had a lot of people's attention. City in Texas was great. Just want to say great job to Major League Baseball for all of that. And, of course, thanks to SportsGrid for letting me cover it in a small way, and also being able to take some time off to take my son there and have a good time too. All right, let's wrap it up now. Let's flip those cards. It's time for some last licks. Well, I guess Antonio Brown is not the only wide receiver formerly playing in the NFL that has an issue with Tom Brady. The next one is Terrell Owens. How about this one? Terrell Owens said that a couple of years ago he almost came out of retirement, but did not because Tom Brady did not want him to be part of the team. I mean, come on, man. I mean, really? I mean, I see Owens' point, and a lot of these guys want to stay active in the media and want to be relevant. But, 2 years ago, this is not even like Des Bryant category. Terrell Owens, to me, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest wide receivers I've ever seen play, dominant with several teams in the NFL, including the San Francisco 49ers, where I had him in fantasy. I remember that year, too. But, buddy, saying that Tom Brady ruined you 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was, your career's been over for a long time, man. And then Antonio Brown kind of said the same thing. Antonio Brown was on his last legs in the NFL. He gave him a shot. And then Brown went in on after him and after his ex-wife and all this other stuff. I mean, these receivers in the NFL, like Owens was a great receiver. Again, should be in the Hall of Fame. Not as dominant, I thought, as Randy Moss, who got several chances again in the NFL. But Tio, your career was over, man, at that point. It was not Tom Brady's fault that you were not back. All right, Greg Sankey, I love this from the SEC commissioner at the SEC meetings. Last year, he was hoping to get one of his teams, of course, into the college football national championship picture. Wasn't all that specific, but basically went on social media and said that, hey, we weren't like one of those other teams who went undefeated and were jumping up and down crying how they didn't get into the national championship picture. He's referring to Florida State. And, when you're at the top, it's kind of funny. Usually people don't punch down just in life. Even on social media, people at the top, they just look at the people at the bottom and say whatever. It's usually the people that are below you that are punching up, trying to clout chase, as they call it. But here, I think Greg Sankey is right, man. The SEC is just in a category of its own. They didn't get who they wanted in the national championship, or maybe even in the Final Four last year of college football. It's really a story much ado about nothing. But let's be honest, Florida State had no shot of winning anything without their quarterback last year. So I get where Sankey is coming from. I love doing these stories. It's a little scary to me that somebody could ever be younger than Freddie Adu in MLS and make a debut. But here we go. Kevin Sullivan made his debut in Major League Soccer. Folks, he is not 16. He is not 15. Kevin Sullivan is 14 years old, making his debut in Major League Soccer. Look at that. 14. My son is 12. I mean, what are we going to be seeing soon? 9-year-old kids playing soccer at Major League Soccer? Is there, if you start playing it, by the way, this Kevin Sullivan, if he's 14 years old, can he play MLS for 30 years? I mean, it's possible. Think about that. He could play if he's good. I don't know how good he is, but because Freddie Adu, by the way, was not very good. But this kid could play for 30. He played 30 years of a sport. I mean, this is just absolutely bananas, especially with soccer too. Congrats to him at 14. All right, that will do it for our show today. Thanks to Simon Applebaum for coming on. In addition, thanks to Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report and Bill Bender from Sporting News. Jack, great job filling in producing today. I will see you guys back here tomorrow as we wrap up the show. We'll also have the very latest at the British Open. Cut down day is tomorrow, so we'll have updates on that for you as well. Don't forget, coming up next, it is the early line, followed by Scott Farrell, Coast to Coast. He's back in the house at 3 o'clock Eastern today. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday. It's great to be back with you here on the show. We got the second half of the Major League Baseball season also opening up tomorrow. The quietest day in sports, folks. It's today. Today is the day. Get ready because football's coming right after that. See you tomorrow.